Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another video today. The team that we're going to be taking a look at is our 2024 University of Florida Gators. We're going to be taking a full preview of their entire team, looking at the roster, seeing who left, what pieces they added this offseason, as well as looking at their schedule, trying to predict every single game and trying to see what their final record will be at the end of the season. Go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. If you have any comments, drop them below and I will make sure to respond. So our 2024 Florida Gators. No one is coming into this season with a hotter seat than Billy Napier. He has 11 wins the last two seasons, 6 wins year one, 5 wins last year. Did not qualify for a bowl game last season. There's no way that a team as talent-rich as the University of Florida should not be bowling at the end of the season. His seat is hot. He has to get a bowl game this year in order to save his job, but he definitely has things stacked against him this season. He has the hardest schedule I have ever seen in my life. They had the hardest schedule last season. They have the hardest schedule ever this year. They're playing 8 or 9 ranked teams. Their out-of-conference schedule is horrible. Potentially 3 out-of-conference opponents that they're playing that are going to be ranked this year. Really tough. They have to get a bowl game. You have Mertz back at quarterback. He had 20 touchdowns last year, 3 picks. He played really well after transferring from Wisconsin. They have Montrell Johnson back as the running back. He's going to be the bell cow. He's going to be getting a lot of carries. You have Eugene Wilson III at the wide receiver position. He's going to be getting the ball nonstop. He's a legit weapon, kind of like a Percy Harvin player. Feed him the ball. Defense, though, has to take some massive steps forwards this year based off of their performance but last season. But they do have a new D-coaching staff at the secondary and the linebacker position. Wilson, he's a big catch at wide receiver. They also have Dyke. They have the Arizona State transfer Badger coming in. They have Jackson. They have the tight end Boardingham. They have Andy Jean. Lots of weapons there. Offense will not be the problem. It's going to be the defense. It was Swiss cheese last season. They have to make massive improvements, but they have that new defensive staff. They have DJ Lagway, who's one of their highest ranked recruits at the quarterback position. He's the backup, but the future's there. Can they go bowling, though, this season? So let's take a look at their schedule. They kick things off Saturday, August 31st versus the Miami Hurricanes. This game is going to be at home. This game has the potential here to set things up for either of these teams. For whoever wins this game has the green light going forward this year, whether it's Florida or Miami. Miami owned the offseason, though. They did really good. They have the number 1 transfer portal quarterback, Cameron Ward. They have the number 1 transfer portal running back, Damian Martinez, coming in from Oregon State. They're loaded, deep wide receivers, running backs, a top 5 offensive line, a really good defense. I'm going to go with Miami winning this game, but I think it's going to be really close. It's a tough game. It is game 1. Anything can happen. This game's almost 50-50, but I'm slightly leaning Miami, and Miami is 2.5-point favorites here. And Vegas, just to throw this in there, has Florida winning 4.5 games this season. So they got to do a lot better than that. So they start out the year with the loss, 0-1. That's Saturday, September 7th, the Samford Bulldogs. This game is also in the Swamp in Gainesville. This is obviously going to be an easy win. If they lose game 1, there's a couple things that they need to work on. They can get that right this game. They're going to blow the Bulldogs down. It's probably going to be like a 50-10 game, and they're 1-1. They follow that up Saturday, September 14th versus the Texas A&M Aggies. Thankfully, they're not going to College Station, but you have the Aggies coming to Gainesville. Obviously, they got rid of Jimbo Fisher. They have a very, very deep roster, a top 10 talented roster, but it's a new coaching staff. You have Mike Elko coming in as the head coach. He's a really good coach coming over from Duke. It's going to take him a couple games to get the ship right and get everyone familiar with the new schemes. I think Florida has the opportunity to steal this game with the Aggies coming to Gainesville, a whole new coaching staff, new systems. I think the Gators beat them in a close one, like a 30-27 game, and they're 2-1. They followed that one up Saturday, September 1st versus the Mississippi State Bulldogs. This is their first game on the road. Mississippi State, they have a new head coach. They have Jeff Levy coming over from Oklahoma, completely overhauling the entire roster, top to bottom. There's going to be a massive talent gap. Look for Florida to win this one, and they're 3-1. Then they have a bye week September 28th. They're 3-1, so they're riding pretty good right now. Saturday, October 5th, the UCF Knights. This game is in Gainesville. Another out-of-state game. Do not underestimate UCF. They have KJ Jefferson at the quarterback. They have a running back coming back. He had 1,300 yards last season. They're going to be running with the quarterback and the running back. So Florida's defense is specifically their D-line and linebackers, they better be on point this game because this one could easily get out of control. Gus Malzahn knows how to play the Gators. Gators can easily lose this one, but I'm going to go with them being fired up this game and Florida winning this game in a close one. Kind of a shootout, like a 34-27, 34-30 game, and Florida's 4-1. And then Saturday, October 12th, we have the at Tennessee Volunteers. Tennessee, they have Nico coming in, 5-star quarterback. This is going to be his first year as the full-time starter. This team has a lot of weapons. They still have Squirrel there at wide receiver. They had a top 30 defense last year, top 25 offense. They're going to be just as good this season. Kind of a fringe top 25 team. I have Tennessee getting the win at home. Florida drops to 4-2. Then Saturday, October 19th, we have the Kentucky Wildcats. They're coming to Gainesville. Kentucky's always a team that plays Florida tough. They ran all over Florida last season. I have Florida getting some revenge on Kentucky in the swamp this year, though, shutting down the run game, but they do have the transfer quarterback from Georgia, so they might actually be a pretty efficient passing team this season, but I have Florida winning, and they're 5-2. Then the bye week, October 26th, and then Saturday, November 2nd, obviously the biggest cocktail party, the Georgia Bulldogs in Jacksonville, Florida. Georgia's going to be number 1 or number 2 at this point. I think it's going to be a really competitive game first half, but Georgia's talent cap, their physicality, they pull away second half. They win probably like a 38-24 game, and Florida drops to 5-3. And then Saturday, this is when the schedule just gets out of control. Just extremely tough, top 15 matchups nonstop. Saturday, November 9th at Texas Longhorns. They're going to Austin. Another massive talent gap. I think they're really beat up at this point. They had 2 bye weeks first half and then no bye week second half. It's just nonstop physical top 10 matchups. Texas is going to beat them up at the line of scrimmage. Injuries are starting to set in. I think Florida's going to get kind of beat somewhat bad this game on the road, like a 40-21 game, and they're 5-4. And then Saturday, November 16th, LSU Tigers coming to town. They are coming to the Swamp. This is another game that Florida could potentially steal to get bowl eligible, but I'm going to go with LSU getting the win here. They have Brian Kelly. He's a great coach. Don't underestimate him. They have Nussmeier. They lost a lot of pieces last season. They lost their offensive coordinator, Denbrock. They lost 2 wide receivers for the first round, but I think they still have enough weapons to beat it. But it could be a shootout because LSU's defense was pathetic last season. And Florida drops to 5-5. Then Saturday, November 23rd, the Ole Miss Rebels, another, what's this, the 4th straight top 15 matchup. Ole Miss obviously owned the offseason, had the number 1 transfer portal class. They have Jackson Dart back at quarterback. They have Lane Kiffin. Gator fans hate Lane Kiffin, so this game's going to be somewhat personal, but a lot of things are in Ole Miss's favor right now. They have a very deep team, a very improved defense, and they're definitely going to be bringing a top 15 offense. Look for Ole Miss to cruise on the road. Florida drops to 5-6. End of the season here, Saturday, November 30th at the Florida State Seminoles. This game is on the road, and it's for bowl eligibility. They have to win this game to get a bowl game. If you're going to beat Florida State, this is the season. Florida State's entire team basically is flipping over from last year to this year. A lot of guys off to the NFL. They have DJU coming in at quarterback. They're still a very deep team, top 15 roster, very talented, very deep on defense and on offense. They're going to be a run-heavy team. They're not going to be relying on the passing game. Florida can easily win this one, but I think Florida State pulls it out in a close one at home, like a 27-24, but Florida almost steals it at the very end. I have Florida finishing their regular season 5-7. I hate to say that, should not happen. I'm not even going to necessarily say it's fully Billy Napier's fault. This is the most difficult college football schedule I've ever seen. Just those last 5 or 6 games, that's atrocious. That's nonstop top 25 matchups. The cards are really stacked against Billy. He has to beat one of these top 15 or top 10 teams in order to get a bowl this season. Some people have them winning 8 games. Some people have them winning 3 or 4 games. I think they go 5-7 just over on the Vegas bets. Potentially Billy Napier gets fired at the very end of the season. If you're a Florida fan, though, no matter what, you're going to get someone good there. Even if it's Billy, if he can do it this season, get 7 or 8 wins, that's going to put them on a massive trajectory going forward. So that's my breakdown of our 2024 Florida Gators. Hit that like button and subscribe. As I mentioned before, if you have any comments, drop them below and I'll make sure to respond. Thanks.